Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center. It's an all-access pass to what's happening in the polity and in politics at midday. But let's bring you news just in a moment ago, where the High Court in Lafia, Nasarawa State, has sentenced Oluwatimileyin Ajayi, the suspected killer of a National Youth Service Corps member, Salome Adaudu, to death by hanging. Justice Simon Aboki, who handed down the judgment of the courts, of guilty, who handed down the judgment, found Ajayi guilty of killing and dismembering Adaudu. He had been charged with one-count culpable homicide contrary to Section 221 of the Penal Code of Northern Nigeria and punishment by death. During his trial, Ajayi was accused of murdering Adaudu at his residence in Papalana, that's in New Karishi, on January 12, 2025. He was later caught attempting to dispose of her body, a shock that reverberated nationwide, given his status as a gospel artist. Let's also tell about the happenings in the People's Democratic Party, where Mr. Samuel Anyanwu has now been announced as the National Secretary of the party. Following his meeting with Independent National Electoral Commission on Tuesday, the party also suspended its planned a National Executive Committee meeting scheduled for June the 30th, and instead, the planned meeting will now be an expanded caucus meeting. The acting national chairman of the party, Umar Damago, announced the reinstatement at a news conference in Abuja, which was attended by the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Bala Mohammed, and the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki.
To abide by the advice they gave us. Especially, we have a very, very important election before us. That is the FCT election, and we are running out of time, so we have no option but to abide by the decision. After due consultation and everything, we thought it's a bitter pill, but we have to swallow it. When I said critical decision, I now is resuming as the National Secretary. I think that's the most important thing. We'll have a caucus, expanded caucus, so that we will discuss extensively the way forward to NEC. That would be on the 30th. We'll issue the notice. It will not going to be NEC, but an expanded caucus.
Well, that controversy is not over. The office of the National Secretary is still in contention because some members of the party have now kicked against the decision of reinstating Mr. Anyanwu. A statement by the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Adebo Ologunagba, and 10 others included Deputy National Chairman South, Acting National Secretary, the National Auditor, and the National Vice Chairman Southeast and Southwest, describing the decision to reinstate Mr. Anyanwu as null and void and misleading. The statement also maintained that, contrary to the announcement of cancellation of the June 30th National Executive Committee meeting and replacing it with an expanded caucus meeting, the planned NEC will hold as scheduled. It never ends, right? Okay, but we'll see how that plays out in the coming days. Let's tell you what played out at the Senate yesterday. The ad hoc committee on Rivers Emergency Rule has submitted its report on the screening and approval of the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, who is a non-indigent. Tension, however, arose in plenary after the submission of a different lawmaker. That's the submission of a lawmaker disagreeing over this particular nomination. Let's take a listen.
We are supposed to be guided by more than constitution. We are supposed to be guided by the conscience. We are the highest decision-making body in this country politically. Please.
I'm talking about ethics. This is somebody who has less than 3 months.
Order.
Lead and 4 months to stage. When is he When is he going to conduct this election? When is he going to inaugurate this election?
Either in the constitution or in case law, the man is eligible, and that's why our committee has so recommended him.
Those in favor, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
All right, so that's going to be the focus of our controversy, of our conversation, the controversy around Rivers State. And it never ends, really, because by the time you turn, one controversy has come up yet again. So just to give you a background, the sole administrator that was appointed by the president about 3 months ago dissolved a couple of bodies and boards, and including the River State Independent Electoral Commission, and appointed someone and members of the committee, or the commission as it is called. But the controversy arose to the effect that the person nominated is not from River State, he's from Cross River State, the same state where the sole administrator is from. Some are saying he did it just to make sure that there is, because they are a warring party, he doesn't want to be accused of being on any side. Others are saying it's illegal, it's unconstitutional, all of that. Let's bring in rights activist and elder stateswoman from the Niger Delta region. Madam Ann-Kio Briggs joins us. Madam, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So before I throw in my first question, for the benefit of our audience, so if my producer can throw in what the law says as far as the issue of local government is concerned. So according to section 197, that is where it is, so if you can read that, it says part of the establishment of the bodies at the subnational level includes the State Independent Electoral Commission. But there are condition precedents, and one of the condition precedents is subsection 1 of that is set out in part 2 of the third schedule of the Constitution. If we go to the next slide of this particular section of the Constitution, it said, in appointing the chairman and members of the boards and governing bodies of all the things that are listed, the governor shall conform with the provisions of section 14(4) of the Constitution. So I'm just listing the condition precedent as far as appointment of these bodies, especially in this case, the Independent Electoral Commission of the state is concerned. So let's go to the next one. You can see here, according to the schedule, the third schedule, part 2B, it says, a state independent electoral commission shall comprise of the following: a chairman and not less than 5, but not more than 7 other members. So as far as this is concerned, this is where some people are arguing, did not say you must be from the state or you must not be from the state, just as a chairman. Let's go to another condition precedent that some people are saying, no, that's not entirely correct. So if you read this section of the Constitution, which has to do with federal character, section 14, subsection 4, it says, such agencies shall be carried out in such a manner as to recognize the diversity of the people within its area of authority. So that is another controversy that is brewing as to within its area of authority. Madam Ann-Kio, I would like your reaction. I just have to bring out all the legalese behind this so that you can give your own understanding of what's playing out as far as the issue of River State Electoral Commission is concerned. Ode is now in charge, confirmed by the Senate. He's not an indigene of the state. The Senate leader said they are to allow he's a citizen, and there's nothing in the case law or the Constitution that disallows anyone out of River State not to head the commission. But I've brought out the law on all sides. What do you make of it?
In the question, what do I make of it? And I think for Rivers people, that is the most valid question. That's the most important question, because we believe that we are being taken advantage of. We believe that we're being pushed into the wall, and that there is somehow some people sitting somewhere using the law, using the Constitution as and when it pleases them, and abusing the Constitution as and when it pleases them, and expecting some kind of reaction that they can use against the state, further against the state. Because everything that needs to be said, what should be done and how it should go about, you've already read out. Now, which state can endure what Rivers people are enduring, whether it is constitutional or not constitutional. In this case, a lot of things we have endured since the declarance of the state of emergency in Rivers State, and even before then, is something that is going to get worse for Rivers people, and is something that Rivers people at one time or the other, believe it or not, are going to get tired of and are going to react to. Now, there is already an acceptance that the state of emergency, as declared on the 18th of March by Mr. President, was not only unconstitutional to a very large extent, because you can't declare a state of emergency, but nowhere does it say that you can suspend the governor and you can suspend the deputy governor and you can also suspend the State House of Assembly members. Now, having said all those, or put those things at one side, the fact that the man who was brought in, Ibas, is not a Rivers man. He is not elected by Rivers people. So again, this is something that we've been shouting and screaming about and saying that this is unconstitutional to anyhow you look at it. Now, this he came in and he unconstitutionally created, removed people that the governor has placed in constitutionally recognized positions. He removed them. He now went further to create sole administrators for local governments. Now, the question is, what is his business? Why is the government insisting that he must conduct an election? Why is the government insisting that this sole administrator must conduct this election? So now that puts Rivers people in a position where the governor they elected is totally disempowered. Let us say, assume that this election is going to take place and people are going to be elected, and the governor is going to come back. Now, when the governor comes back, the governor is going to work with people he doesn't know, that has been deployed to him, that has been appointed for him. And that was exactly where the governor was in October of 2023 that led to this crisis. Every single time something has happened, there are people in court, in different courts, in Abuja, in Rivers State, the PDP, the governors. People are in court. And yet we have a government that is refusing to acknowledge or respect the rights of the people of Rivers State to be heard in the court. And so the judiciary itself, that is supposed to checkmate the other arm of government, is actually now part of the government that it is supposed to checkmate, and therefore thrown Rivers people under the bus. So whether it is the suspended governor Similar, or whether it is the federal government, the Senate, all of them, the president of Senate Akpabio, the PDP up to a very large extent, the FCT minister to a very large extent, all of these people have conspired against the rights and the people of Rivers State. And the worry people like me have is that how long are we, people like me, going to be able to contain the anger that is brewing, the frustration that is brewing?
Right,
Rivers people have been thrown under the bus.
Yeah,
the whole of Rivers State. Nothing is happening in Rivers State.
All right, Madam
And
Ann-Kio.
the reason for let me just land for you. The reason for the declaration of a state of emergency, as I have said all along, never existed. The president was deceived, he was lied to, and as long as he continues to act on what is being told without hearing the people of Rivers State, i.e., allowing the courts to do what they are supposed to do, then the people of Rivers State are victims of the political party APC, were victims of the presidency. The president were victims of APC, were victims of PDP, were victims of private individuals. What have we done? Forget even the governor. What have we, the people of Rivers State, what have we done to deserve what we are going through in Rivers State?
So, Madam
It
Ann-Kio,
is dangerous.
my question, because the way you're sounding right now, it looks like the president in his decision, which is a contentious constitutional issue, is at the Supreme Court, whether or not it has the discretional latitude to remove elected officials. Because I know that in the Constitution, it's either your tenure expires or you resign or you're impeached, and one other condition is how a governor is removed. So it's a constitutional contention right now, how far his discretional latitude can go in declaring a state of emergency to the extent of removing state officials, which is contentious. But one of the premise for some of his action is to the fact that the dramatists personnel here, the governor, the state assembly, and other players, this is supposed to give room for coming together and find a political resolution to get out of this quagmire. By the way, somebody listening to you, because you have a seat on the table as an elder within the region and in the state, it looks like this state of emergency is not solving any problem. Is that the position?
Because it should never, the state of emergency actually have become the problem. It's the problem. The state of emergency, we were told that the state of emergency was declared because the president believed that it was in the best interest of Rivers State. Now, we Rivers people are saying to the president, it is not in the best interest of Rivers State. Look, the man who has been confirmed as the chairman of IDEC in Rivers State, that it is constitutional and democratic that the governor alone, by law, is the one that is supposed to appoint this chairman and the not less than 6 or 5 or not more than 7 or whatever people that are supposed to be with him. It is the governor. Now, Ibas is not the governor of Rivers State. So already that is something that is wrong and is unacceptable to this. For Rivers people, we all know how the president today fought the president then, Obasanjo, when he attempted to try this with him in Lagos or something similar with him in Lagos State. And I'm saying to you that we now have Cross River men who one is Ibas, who is not an elected official, overseeing our money and our lives. And we now have a man from Cross River. I don't know if we've been sold to Cross River by APC to Cross River. I don't know. But we now have somebody who is telling us what to do that we didn't elect. We now have a man who is going to oversee an election that we will not believe in. I, for one, will never believe in the results that will come out of this election that is going to be held in August, because it's as plain as black and white that this is a well thought out, a well strategized situation that is being imposed on the elected governor of Rivers State. And to the extent that it is continuing to happen to us, and the governor himself is now either tied down for whatever reason, or he also have accepted that whatever is going to be done, let it be done. And that cannot be in the interest of Rivers people. It is also not in the interest of the governor that we elected. We elected him. We expect him to fight for us.
Madam Ann-Kio, if I may come in because of time.
We feel that he is not.
If I may come in because of time, some people have even said that the governor himself is not showing enough fighting spirit. Some have said he's towing the path of peace, which is supposed to tow for peace to reign. So it depends on who you're speaking to. Some are saying, I don't want to use certain words, but technically saying on one hand, he's not doing enough to get his seat back. On the other hand, they are saying, look, what do you want the man to do? He has to follow the path of peace. But where I'm going to with all of this is to the fact that we see in the Constitution, because that's why it's a constitutional issue, and that's why it is before the Supreme Court. There's no such thing as sole administrator in our law, because the governor is supposed to be the appointing officer to the RISEC, and every other agency is clear in the Constitution. It's also clear in the Constitution that it's the governor that will prepare the budget and present it before a valid state assembly, which was in existence before it was removed, suspended. In fact, Section 11 envisages a situation where it is possible for a state assembly, for whatever reason, not to exist, but the governor and the deputy will exist. So the law is quite clear on a few things, but the Supreme Court will give interpretation to all of this. But where I'm going to with this is to the fact that this is our reality now. This is the reality that everybody is seeing in River State, and there has to be a way forward. So first question, is there a mood in the city, in the River State, that shows that an election is in the works at the local government level, because that's where politicians fight it out as to control? And I'd also like you to comment on the budget that was also presented.
Definitely, right from the beginning, after a while, we began to understand that there is a plan to conduct the election, the local government election. That is a direct responsibility of the elected governor of Rivers State. And then once you accept that, which we can see and we have discussed amongst ourselves, then it means that there is a plan to bring in people at local government level and at all levels to work supposedly with the governor. And the governor is totally on his own, because he's not appointing, everybody he appointed was removed. And now they're going to run an election and bring in people that they will bring in. I don't know whether you saw a video that went viral of a chairman that was appointed by the sole administrator from Ahuda, that was beaten into a pub. And we saw, some of us saw the faces of the people. Now, the question is, where is the police in all of these things? Is the police saying that they did not see the video? The man concerned has told us that he was forced to sign that thing, and we saw the video. So that is the level that the politics of River State has degenerated into. So what is going on in River State is going in a direction that it can only get more violent now, because the violence already has been perpetrated upon a local government chairman that they themselves, they in quote, allegedly have brought under the directorship or whatever of the of IBAS. And now when this is being done to Rivers people, and we keep saying that we do not want this in our state. Yes, the governor is a quiet man. The governor is a peaceful man, and he has demonstrated that. But we as a people also have to be heard by the governor. We're saying to him that this is not why we elected you. The governor is peaceful and quiet, yes, but the governor also has to fight for the people of Rivers State. And we're calling on the governor of Rivers State to explain further to us. We need an explanation. We don't have an understanding of why these illegalities are going on, and it is being allowed to go on legally by the courts, by the federal government, and to some extent, I agree when you say that some people say that the governor is not fighting for us. Yes, the governor is not, because the governor said he's looking for peace. But we have to ask the governor, what is peace, and what is that price that he is willing to pay, one, as a person, two, as a governor, and three, on behalf of the people of Rivers State. It is unacceptable to us. But now, my brother, what can we do? Are we going to now break the law according to how they claim that what they are doing is lawful? It's not lawful. This is very unlawful to the people of Rivers State.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that you have actually asked the question, but you have mentioned it, and so I don't know if I'm free to
Yes, in
go
30 seconds,
into
just to mention, just to talk about the budget, just the budget.
The so-called
4
1.8
trillion.
trillion.
1.8 trillion,
yeah, 1.8 trillion. If you remember, we are in June. That's half of 2025. The governor had already presented a budget earlier of 2025 at 1.4 trillion. Is not, people are not being paid. There is nothing working in Rivers State. There are debts all over the place. So the things that the governor should have been doing, and the governor was doing well. He saved money and he was paying contractors. We could see what the governor was doing. Now we have a man that is not from Rivers State, that is in our government house, overseeing our money. How much, we don't know. What is he using it to do? We don't know. And yet the budget has been increased, and the National Assembly under President Akpabio is a great disappointment and pain to the people of Rivers State. I don't know what we have done to the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, now the president of the Senate. Why he is doing things that are so unacceptable to the people of Rivers State.
Ann-Kio.
The way he passed the acceptance of IBAS, the way he did it with voice vote. Now the way he's gone about the increase of, from 1.4 billion to 1.8 billion.
Because of time, yes.
Akwa Ibom has money. If they want to share money amongst themselves or to Nigeria,
All right,
why can't he take it from Akwa Ibom?
We're totally out of time. It looks like this cycle, we just want it to end. I don't know how it's going to end, whether it is going to give closure. Nobody really knows. Elections may come in August. This September, the governor is meant to come back if he's not in return as governor before then. So there's a lot to unpack. But we must keep the conversation going. Is the state of the polity. Madam Ann-Kio Briggs is a rights activist as well as an elder stateswoman from the Niger Delta in Rivers State. Thank you, ma'am, for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. Have a good day.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.